Hello, gorgeous ones. A little bit after 8. Today we are talking Stop the Blame Game. We've been talking about that all week. Now, yesterday I gave a couple of examples of how people, family, friends, will often push junk food onto their other family and friends. And then when, people are overweight or addicted to junk food, we kind of go, well, you just have to stop it. So it's really important to recognize that junk food is highly addictive. The analogy I like to use is, let's talk about, say, alcohol, right? So with alcohol, you've got people that can have alcohol, once a month. They don't really care about it. They might have a drink or two once a month. That's it. You've got other people that will drink alcohol maybe most nights and really don't want to, but it's their brain tells them it's my stress management. And then you've got people that drink alcohol and it's really quite destructive to their lives, and they can't stop, and it's very, very destructive. And sugar falls into the same thing. And when I use sugar, I mean junk food, because chips obviously don't have sugar in them, but they are just as addictive. So it's that carb combination, that processed carbs, which is sugar and, potato, I suppose, in that case. So the thing about this is, in Sugarland or Carbland, we have the same thing. I'm sure you've got friends that, have a piece of cake like once a month. They couldn't care less about it. It's not in their vernacular. You have other people that have dessert every night on the couch and they don't want to. And then you've got people whose lives are out of control due to sugar, and they've got type 2 diabetes and a whole heap of health complications. But for whatever reason, they just can't stop. That's addiction, okay? So we've got addiction addicts. We've got heavy users who are using it for emotional regulation. And then we've got people for whom sugar is not a problem. So the thing is, right, we don't know each person's story. How did they get to this point? I know a lot of their stories. I know that for a lot of people, it's multifactorial, but for a lot of people, there's trauma. Many people who use food have a trauma-based life. Clearly, as a child, as anybody, trauma is something that is not the person's fault, but yet we say to them, well, just stop eating it. That's their Band-Aid. We need to go deeper. So the other thing is modelling. We always talk about modelling. Again, our combination, our genetic combination is passed down, as is our learning, our modelling, what we learned from our parents, what they learned from their parents. It's all passed down unwittingly without understanding what it is that is having, what the impact is. So, and I'll use this story all the time. It's that idea that, starts from childhood. Someone might fall over, they might have a disappointment, they might have something hard. I clearly remember I went to the doctor when I was about 6. I think I had a middle ear infection and I had to have an injection of penicillin. And on the way home, my mum took me to the milk bar and I was allowed to choose whatever I wanted. It was like, whoa! So, it's that idea. And I've done the same, that you just, oh, good morning, Anita. So lovely to see you. Just understanding that these are not things that are bad, but they're unhelpful. Remember, good and bad makes us feel guilt and shame or virtue. It's none of that. Food doesn't have to be good, bad, virtuous, but just helpful and unhelpful. Okay? Helpful food is healthy. It helps you grow. Again, if you're a child, it helps your brain. It gives you vitamins, gives you nutrients, gives you minerals. Those sorts of things are healthy. Unhelpful food is stuff that's going to, derail you, or as Mary would like to say, take your all-wheel drive terrain vehicle off its path and onto a little deviated path. So, people will say to me, well, I thought carrots were healthy. And of course, Carrots have lots of nutrients. Carrots have vitamin A, they have some fiber. If you are insulin resistant and wanting to lose weight, then they're just not helpful for the moment. Does that make sense? So I see the word healthy being hijacked all over the place. It's really understanding what is healthy. And I would go, really, each individual person has different foods that are going to be helpful for them and not helpful for them. So the humble carrot, which always seems to cause some grief, the humble carrot is very good nutritionally for people who have no insulin resistance. And even if you have some insulin resistance, a few little bits of carrot is not going to lock your woodshed. But if somebody, if it was carrot soup, for example, that's a lot of carrots all juiced down. That's going to be, and it's quite sweet. It's going to be high carb. I know for me, things like carrot soup, pumpkin soup are not helpful because they're very highly concentrated carby things, I suppose. Whereas, if I was having a salad and there were a couple of little bits of pumpkin in it, I'm not going to worry about that. So I've sort of diverted away from my kind of thing that I was talking about. But I guess what I want to say is that for anybody who is storing excess fat, we don't know their backstory. We don't even know their front story. We don't know where they've come from. So, I've got lovely, beautiful, all my patients are beautiful. They really are. They are just wonderful people surviving in a world that is often difficult. And the thing is that when you see somebody and make a snapshot judgment about what they might be like, you know nothing. You know nothing about where they've come from or where they've been or where they're going. So I think that is really, really important. And again, the sort of scourge of social media means that that's what we get to do. We get to be able to take a picture of somebody and everyone can, pass judgment. Reminds me very much of, the very olden days where people used to get stoned, to death. So somebody would make some sort of misdemeanor of some sort, usually, and it was often women, and, then the whole crowd would just get on them and start pelting them. Again, this is a very nasty side of social media, but it's also not just, social media makes it obvious, but for God's sake, we've been doing it forever. You think about, cliques in school, mums groups who talk about other people, all of that sort of stuff. One of the things I would love for everybody to do this is I really want people to practice kindness. Everybody, okay? Whether you're carrying excess fat or not, doesn't matter. Because if the world becomes kinder, then people will judge less. If people judge less, then we judge ourselves less. And the judgment, the self-judgment, the self-berating, the self-loathing is never going to get you healthy. So, we have a lovely saying, you can't hate yourself thin. You can't hate yourself healthy. You can't hate yourself well. So the idea of, health, that's what I want you to focus on, lovelies. All right, and I can just see somebody's written a little comment, and I'm just going to see, Penny. Penny can't get her woodshed open, battling her inner sugar demon every day. Okay, so I will give you a little, I've got a sugar talk, but the thing about sugar, highly addictive, upregulates our reward system. We have receptors all over the place going, give me sugar, give me sugar, give me sugar. When your receptors are empty, you feel terrible. You feel less than normal. You can feel irritable, anxious, cranky, and not well, and the cravings will be big. However, the receptors downregulate. They go away, they shrink, and in an ideal world, if we've just got a couple of receptors open, I just use a random number of, say, 2. If you've got 2 receptors on your reward center, That's when you get really big satisfaction from doing little, little things, like a little job. Oh yay, I put the bins out on time. Woohoo, bing. That's your little 2 receptors getting their dopamine hit, and that makes you feel good. If you've got 2,000 receptors ready for sugar, two little receptor hits from putting the bins out on time does nothing. You don't even feel it. So the thing that I would say is that when you get sugar out of your life, I mean, it's so obvious, but seems so far away. When you get sugar out of your life, your pleasure of the rest of your life is so much greater, because suddenly you get a little buzz from doing really small things that you just don't get when you're on sugar. So keep going, Penny. It will settle. The cravings will settle. Your woodshed will open. But the deal is that sugar promises you nothing. Okay? It promises you the world and delivers nothing. It promises you sweet, tempting, tasteful, amazing food. But if it was all about the taste, remember this, if it was all about the taste, chocolate chewing gum would be, everywhere. Donut flavored chewing gum would be everywhere. It's not the taste. That's your brain giving you a trick. It is all about the little dopamine hit. And the thing is that you need more and more and more to get that dopamine. And when you don't have it, you feel less than well, less than just normal. Okay, lovelies, I've got to go. Have a wonderful day today. I'm looking outside the window. Melbourne's put on a bit of a wintry blast, but that's okay. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye, darlings.